Introverts have been taught to kind of fake it and to pass as extroverts. So it's not always easy to spot the introverts among us. My name is Susan Cain, and I recently wrote a book called Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking.
I think at this point it's important for me to say that I actually love extroverts. I always like to say some of my best friends are extroverts, including my beloved husband. And we all fall at different points, of course, along the introvert-extrovert spectrum.
Introversion is really about how you respond to stimulation, including social stimulation. So extroverts crave large amounts of stimulation. That's how they feel at their best. But introverts feel most alive and most switched on when they are in quieter environments. You know, Bill Gates is a pretty well-known introvert. Another interesting introvert, I think, is probably President Obama, who, you know, even if you look at the first few pages of his memoir, Dreams from My Father, he opens by talking about his love for solitude and how solitude is where he feels, in his solitude, he feels the safest. The ideal self in this culture is bold, it's alpha, it's gregarious, it's comfortable in the spotlight. And these values are reflected in our schools and our workplaces. So introverts are routinely passed over for leadership positions, even though the latest research by Adam Grant at the Wharton School shows that introverted leaders often deliver better outcomes than extroverts. But this feels really surprising to us because we imagine that leadership means being, you know, very dynamic and charismatic. What I really want to see is introverts starting to feel comfortable with who they are and not feeling like their personality trait is something to feel guilty about or ashamed of. You know, I think we have a real fallacy now that all creativity, all productivity comes from a very gregarious place. And I think that that's a real mistake. I mean, it's certainly a problem for introverts who don't prefer to function that way. But I think it's bad for the companies in question as well, because they're not getting the best out of people's brains if they're constantly throwing them together and not giving them the space to go off and find out what's inside their own heads.